So in the last lecture, we created this map visual that shows employees by state for the selected industry and for the current year. But what we realized is that the differences in state populations were skewing the results. So what we can do is simply divide the number of employees for each state by that state's population, which should normalize the results. And then we can just show the employees per capita in the map instead. But the problem is that we don't have the state populations in our source data. So what can we do? Well, we could look up the populations online and just copy and paste them on here, but that's probably going to take a while. The good news is that we can actually look up that information from Excel directly with a feature called linked data types. Now, this feature, which you can find in the Data tab, is only available in Excel 365. So if you're working with an earlier version, you can use the file that I've attached to this lecture called state populations, which contains the same information that I'll be pulling using these linked data types. So what I'm going to do is start by copying my states here, and I'm going to paste them over to the side here. And with them selected, I'm going to go to Data, Data Types, click this drop-down arrow, and select this geography option. It may take a little bit to load, but you should eventually see these kind of flags around your states. And what this means is that Excel connected or linked these data types to an online data source to retrieve more information from them. So what it basically did is automatically detect that these are states, and it allows me to pull all of this rich information for them from the internet. Now, in this case, we're looking for the populations, so let's select that. And you'll see that it only added it for Alabama, so I'm going to press Ctrl-Z, select all of them, go back, add the population, and there we go. Now, the reason why I had to copy and paste them over here to retrieve these values is that if I had selected these and then clicked on the geography data type, it will detect them as states, but it's also going to break our formulas here. So I'm going to undo and just add population here and just copy and paste these values. Now these are formulas, so you'll see that we're getting a field error, and you'll notice that what this formula is referencing is the value in S3, which is a linked data type, and then it's retrieving the population from that data type. So I'm going to undo, copy these values again, and then just paste them as values. So now we have these hard-coded population numbers in our data. So we can get rid of these columns since we've already used our linked data types, and we can calculate our employees per capita, which is going to be my number of employees divided by the population. Now it looks like naturally we're going to get pretty small decimal values, so let's actually multiply this by 1,000 and then just call it employees per 1,000 capita. I'm going to press Ctrl-1 to format the number since we don't really need decimal points. Let's remove the decimal places. So we have 4 employees per capita for natural resources in Alabama. And if we apply this down, we get the employees per 1,000 capita for the rest of the states for this industry. So now, let me copy this formatting and apply it all the way over here as well, just so that we get our title centered. And now what we can do is change the map so that it reflects this new information. And all I need to do is select this field and then just drag it to my employees per 1,000 capita. And now it looks like we're going to get some very clear patterns as we switch across industries. So it looks like natural resources has the most employees per capita in Wyoming and in North Dakota. Let's change this to maybe trade and transportation. So that changed mostly to North Dakota as well, actually, which is interesting. Let's go to education and health, which it looks like it's concentrated in the Northeast, mostly in Massachusetts here, which makes sense. And let's try one more, maybe information, which has the most jobs in Washington, probably because of Seattle, and here in California. Alright, so this is looking much better now, and even more importantly, it's going to be way more useful for our end users.